is your background. The reason for understanding the background is whether you are from SAP or non-SAP, whether you have a little understanding on MDM or MDG or ABAP or functional side. So it will help me to drive the entire session, because I can understand there will be always mix audience who will be from functional, from technical, or something else. So that will help me. Do not disclose your organization, uh, anything, any details about that. Just need couple of information about, uh, one is your experience and which field you have worked on, like SAP, non-SAP, functional, technical, etc. So if you want to start one by one, and probably I can introduce myself at end of the introduction. So then we can probably move ahead to talk about the agenda and some other information. So who want to start?
Okay, I'll kick it off. My name is George, and I'm in the UK.
Okay.
I've been working on SAP for almost 15 years now as a functional consultant on the P2P, MM, PP, tax and customs element of it. I'm hoping to get into data because on all the projects that I've worked in, there's a lot of requirement for data transformation, MDG, MDM, and all that stuff. So I'm not quite familiar with data, so this is going to be my first exposure into data, and I'm hoping at least to be able to gain some credible knowledge out of it.
Thank you, George. Nice to hear you. Yeah. So who is next?
I can go. This is Yogesh Tota. You see my last name on the chat, but attendees. But I'm from US. Have like around 20 years of experience, mix of SAP, non-SAP, mostly into the data and analytics. And some, started as an ABAP technical consultant long back, 20 years back, but I moved towards like functional, and last 10 years I spent around in the data and analytics. I think I do understand the concept of MDG or MDM, but I never got an opportunity to work into purely as an MDG or MDM, consultant or the employee.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Who is next?
Hey Aditya, this is Nikesh. Again, I have also been in SAP for 15-20 years almost, mostly on the functional side, APO, supply chain management. But we have a project like where I might have a opportunity to be on the architecture team on the MDG global implementation. So that's the interest in learning MDG. I do not have. I understand that this product requires a lot of ABAP, and you can probably clarify some of that. I do not have like specific development experience. More everything that I have been in the past was all on the functional side. So how that will fit in, if you can tell us a little bit whenever you get a chance. That's about me.
Thank you, Nikesh. I will definitely clarify all the points, and I know these are all some basic thing which people have their mind when they interact first time with MDG. So in this call, when we will end up this call, I think 90% of the confusions, questions, queries, whatever you have in your mind, I hope I will help to clarify those points. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Who is next?
Hello. Hi all. I'm Hitali. So I actually started working before like 1.5 years as data governance analyst. So purely my role is functional. I help stakeholders and IT people to find out the data lineage. I prepare data models, and I'm in my company. I'm initiating data governance, like I'm publishing documents like a system of records and system of engagement, etc. So basically, I'm working on data governance side, like stewardship and all. But in my company now, they are introducing MDG for customers specifically, to have the 360 view of the customer and all. So this is like on board. So that's why I'm learning, so that I can be more, contribute to that, and I can move. They may give me some opportunity in this platform. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Who is next?
Hi Aditya, this is Syed here from Germany. Currently, I'm working as an SAP data migration consultant, and I have around 6.5 years of experience in SAP. I have started my career in ABAP as an ABAP developer, and then I worked in BODS and information steward tools as well. So yeah, that's all about myself.
Thank you, Sayed. Thank you. Nice to hear you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
So, my name is Russell. Oh, hold on. Okay. So my name is Russell. My experience, basically, I have about cumulative 10 years plus experience in information technology. I've never at any point in time interacted with any SAP products. I've always been in general project management track. And quite recently, I'm working as a Scrum Master for a company that's going on a large-scale implementation of SAP. As a matter of fact, I'm migrating from ECC to S4HANA, and that requires, massive MDG analysis, design, development, and everything that goes in there. Now, the team I'm working with, they are the ones carrying out the actual, they are product analysts, actually. They are the ones carrying out the implementation. They are the ones working on the features to help with the migration. But I need this training to be able to understand at a high level what's going on, be able to contribute useful tips, useful ideas to the team, instead of just being a complete novice as to what's going on.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think anybody else? I think we cover everyone, I guess. Okay, so let me start my introduction. I'm Aditya. I have over 11 years of experience in SAP, and that is my total experience, by the way. Okay, and I started my career as an ABAPer, then slowly moved to SAP MDM and then MDG, and right now it's been over 6 years I'm in MDG. I have implemented around 7 to 8 different projects in MDG. So my role was, initially I was technical plus functional consultant, because I had little understanding on functional side as well, like material master, customer, vendor, etc. So whatever the project I have delivered, the end-to-end design, end-to-end implementation, go live, cutover activity, and handover to support or anything else. So that was my entire role of MDG project, and I have developed on material master, customer, vendor or supplier, and finance master data in MDG. And I have also worked on, currently I'm working on S4 HANA as well. And this is the background. And currently I'm located in US, and that is all so far. So now let me start with some basic understanding uh, about the MDG project, how it like execute project by project or domain by domain, and how many members are required, what is the kind of experience is it desire or deserve or demand, you can say, and the entire kind of stuff. So let me start with SAP MDG. So the full form is Master Data Governance. Okay. Now let me start with some project detail, etc. In SAP MDG, we have different type of domains to implement, like material master. Second one is business partner, and business partner include customer and vendor or supplier, whatever you can call. Next is finance master data, finance master. So this is the major three domain which we have. Apart from this, we have some new domains which we will also talk about, but this is the three major domain which we have in MDG. That is material master, business partner including customer and vendor, and finance master. Now, whenever MDG project implement, let's say one XYZ company is trying to implement SAP MDG. Okay. Now, how the project goes on? Whether all the domain start together? No. Always it happens phase wise. Like for an example, phase one. Phase one, your client want to implement first material master. So that is the phase one. Then once phase one complete, the go live, cutover activity and handover to support, then the phase two start for development. Then let's say it's related to the business partner, including customer and vendor, obviously. Okay. Then once phase two complete, handover to support, then phase three start. Finance master. Now, obviously here, customers' budget is always aligned here. That is, if they does not have budget, they can probably implement phase one, phase two, and they can hold the phase three. It is not necessary that every customers will go for all the domain altogether. So this is one thing. Whatever their business demand, based on that they will propose. Okay, and obviously budget is another constraint. Now the question is, how many types of people you need to implement those projects? Basically three types. One is architect. Another one is functional consultant. And third one is technical consultant. So my present role is architect. So what I do as an architect? Architect is the first line of business who interact with the customer. Because when the customer comes with the approach that, look, I need MDG to implement in my business, where to start, and I want to see some MDG stuff as a demo. So my job is, we take one case study. Based on the case study, so far no information they will share with us. Just we will pick one case study. We will have the sandbox system. We will implement and we will show it to them. Like, this is how MDG work. And these are all some dummy requirements, and you can see how it gets fulfilled through that. Then they will say, okay, uh, can you implement this? Can you implement that? And probably we can also show them with some dummy result. Okay. Then thereafter, they will say, okay, I'm going to start now. The moment they will agree to start, my job is to take one functional and technical consultant with me, at least one functional and at least one technical consultant, and try to understand the customer's present landscape. Okay, what is their present business, what is happening now, what kind of landscape they have, and what is their target. What is the target landscape? What kind of what kind of data implementation they want? Every single detail. Then next is sit and create the requirement with customer. So one by one, starting from like data model, process model, workflow. Yes, your customer may not aware about these are all terms, but we will slowly try to get the information. How many fields you need? What are those fields? What are the functionality you want there in those fields? What kind of business flow you want? That means workflow. How the workflow should work according to your demand or your requirement. How, what is the replication process you want? What is the target system? How many target systems you have? So these are all entire landscape and its peripheral details we will start gathering and writing the functional specification. Okay, then the functional specification review, then sign off, and then the real implementation start. So now the question is, how many architect you need and what kind of experience you think that one architect should have. First is, the architect should have a complete understanding about the landscape. What kind of landscape the customer is using, understand them. What is the future landscape they want, design them, fit the uh, uh, the entire requirement into that future landscape, which is possible, which is not possible, see all those areas and complete the whole first level engagement with like show the demonstration, then create the functional specification. Now, once the functional specification complete and implementation start, whether architect's job is stop? No. Architect job is till end-to-end implementation. Even though after go live, cutover activity, observe what is going on, what are those production issues are appearing, whether there is any glitch in the architecture level, in the implementation level, rectify them, verify them, fix them. Okay, so he is the person who will be end-to-end engagement. Now, how many person you need? That is, one is more than enough, but again, what is the volume of the project? How much it is large, What is the larger amount of task you have? If it is so big, you may need to increase the count. Okay. Now, apart from the architectural design understanding, what kind of experience one architect deserve or required? That is, he must have some understanding about the functional side and little bit on the technical side as well. When I'm talking about little bit technical side, what does it mean? I mean, like, I'm not talking about should know write the ABAP program. No, that's not his job. But his job is to understand the technical functionalities. Like for an example, if I give one field, like let's say if the moment I enter the material type, make sure the another field will populate automatically. And what is the technicality behind? Similarly, when the workflow is moving, for a certain sort of information, the workflow should jump one particular step and will directly go to some other step, will completely jump that another step, which is the next. So this is kind of a technicality. He should know that what's going on and what is the requirement and what is not, or what is actually happening and what is the expected result. So this is the job of an architect. Now coming to the functional consultant. Now another thing, whether architect has to be belongs to SAP or non-SAP doesn't matter. He can belongs to SAP, he cannot belongs to SAP, but he should know the understanding the landscape, the functionalities, the technicality behind the functionality. Okay, so this is one role of architect. Now coming to the functional consultant. Now this particular role deserve the complete understanding of the functionality of different type of master data: material master data, customer master data, vendor master data, business partner, finance, how they work, what kind of data they have, what is the logic behind to have those records. So this understanding they should have. And also it is good that if this type of person knows the basic configurations of MDG, basic functionalities of MDG. So one functional consultant can contribute much higher than what the expectation from this role has. Okay. Now functional consultant, yes, the person can be from non-SAP background, but as we are implementing in SAP, so it is required that that person should have knowledge on SAP MM, FICO, SD. I'm not talking about a depth knowledge, but at least the basic understanding, the basic transactions, the basic detail which this master data demand. Okay, and obviously if this person learn MDG little bit, so this person can contribute much better way. So functional consultant, again, one or two, that depends on project to project. Okay, sorry. Okay, now technical consultant. Technical consultant is the person who is purely technical, like who needs to deal with ABAP, object-oriented ABAP, and MDG. Okay, the entire design part he has to take care. Now, when the functional specification ready, then the implementation start. So the major roles start for the technical consultant from there, and then develop them in the development box, test them, perform the unit testing with some dummy records, then move the transport to quality, hand over the testing part to the customer, conduct UAT, try to help customer to test different type of scenarios, some odd scenarios, some negative scenarios, positive scenarios, and then capture from the customer the test result, complete the UAT, sign off the UAT, and then deploy the transport to the production. Okay, and obviously then conduct the cutover activities, etc. Now, technical consultant, it is very difficult to say that how many technical consultant you require. It is depend how much amount of workload you have, like how much object you have to design. So based on that, and obviously the timeline, two factor, the object, let's say you have 200 object and you have 2 months, then probably the number will be different. And you have 200 object and you have 6 months, then probably the number will be something else. So I'm not going to forecast anything that what is the amount of technical consultant you need, but this is the basic detail you need it. Now the question is, there are many people who comes from the non-SAP background, who comes from the functional background. That means what is the goal for them? Whether that person only can go for architect and functional consultant, they cannot go to the technical consultant. No, it's not like that. In this agenda, in this discussion, I don't call it training. I don't like to call the training, okay? I like the discussion. I like to call it as a discussion because I'm going to share my experience in every single chapter. Why we need chapters? You can see we have agenda here and we have some chapters, and chapter wise we have some detailing. Because if we don't create the chapter, if we don't restrict the item within a specific chapter, we will go somewhere else, and we don't want that. So specific chapter, that relative contains, so we will talk about those relative contains one by one. Okay, and whatever I will talk about, whatever I learned from my project experience, I never been to any training of MDG. Whatever I learn, that is from the real-time project. So it will be a discussion. I'm not demanding, I'm not claiming that I'm always right, okay, or I have every information within me, but at least I can tell you the basic understanding, the basic design, the detail, some demonstration I will create, and I will show how it works, how the real time it works. Okay, so these are all things I will share. So now the question is, what we will get it from this discussion? This discussion will cover the architect part, functional consultant part, and the technical part as well, because I played the 3 roles in time-to-time basis. Yes, I started as a technical consultant, then I had additional responsibility, that is functional side and technical as well, and then now I slowly move to the architect level. But it does not mean that I don't see the ABAP program. It does not mean that I don't write the ABAP program. If the time desire, If it is required, I need to jump to the technical consultant role. Okay, but that I can able to do as a, even though I'm an architect, because I know how to design the technical side, how to write the ABAP code, how to write the object oriented ABAP code. But if someone doesn't know, who is architect, he doesn't know how to write the ABAP code, it's not wrong, because architect role does not demand to write the ABAP code, but I do, because I know it. Okay, so I will discuss in this discussion all these three things to cover. It will cover. So architect side, what are the rules? What are the agendas we need to follow? Functional consultant side, what are the agendas we need to follow? Technical consultant side, what is the agenda we need to follow? Okay, so this is the basic detail about the MDG project. So do not get scared that I'm from non-SAP, I don't know any thing about MDG, how can I start? I can assure you, once we will complete this discussion, the whole agenda, you will able to at least you will able to start independently working in MDG project. I'm not claiming that you will be expert, but at least you will be able to start the MDG project implementation independently. You will have at least the basic understanding. You need not to depend on anybody else. Yes, for project requirement point of view, there will be lots of requirement, lots of new things which you need to learn as a team. Okay, so this is the detail regarding the project point of view. Now I'm going to I will take all the questions. In the meantime, probably you will have some questions in your mind. I will take that. Today's class, we are not going to talk about any new chapter. Today's class is for basic clarification. Okay, basic clarification. What we are going to discuss and what not. Now I'm coming to the agenda. What we have in agenda. The total discussion, whatever we have designed, that is round about 34 to 40 hours. Okay, it always go up, never go down. Okay, that is how, because when you will see the agenda, which I will talk about one by one, you will see a lot of demonstrations are involved here. Because as I said, I learned MDG from project. So I will talk about more with the system rather than on the paper. Okay, I have more understanding how to build it rather than what is the technique, what it's say that the architecture point of view, what is the SAP design at the back end. That I'm not very, that I will share. Whatever design is there, at least the minimum things which is required to understand. But mostly I will talk about the service point of view, because we are in service industry. We have to implement it, we have to deliver it. So my objective will be always towards the delivery point of view, how I will deliver it. Okay. Another question which always ask in such kind of a discussion, whether after this discussion can I eligible to sit for MDG, what it called, that is MDG, what is that name, so exams like whatever, certification, correct, certification. What is whether I can able to sit this? My very specific answer is I don't know what is the certification course of MDG. So whatever the listed agenda you can see, then you can ask me one question, then what is this list of agenda? This list of agenda which demand when you are going to deliver MDG project. then the another counter question, then definitely these are all things will be in the certification code. But I didn't see that agenda. How can I claim? I cannot claim such a way, because certification, if you know about the certification, you probably agree with me. In certification, rather than delivery, they focus on the design part. What kind of design it has. Yes, we will also talk about the design part, but my focus is delivery, because ultimately after complete this discussion, if you will feel that no, I cannot deliver MDG project, then my whole intention is fail, and I cannot do that. Okay, so I cannot claim this agenda will fit you for the certification course, but I would like to request you, once we will complete today's discussion, you please go back and open some job sites. You have Indeed, Naukri, and there are thousands of job sites. Open and just write SAP MDG as a job profile name. Go to that job description and match that job description with our agenda. I'm 100% sure 95% job description will match with this agenda, because this is the end-to-end activity you have to do when you are going to deliver the MDG project. Okay, now coming to the agenda. First chapter is SAP MDG introduction chapter. This is purely fundamental and basic understanding. You cannot expect any kind of demonstration, any kind of practical thing from here. It's purely, I will talk about the landscape, from where MDG comes, how the present landscape is, what are those different landscape we can implement in MDG, what is the business flow of MDG, and what are the prerequisite activity we need to do before we start the real implementation.
Hey,
So
Aditya,
yeah, please.
before we go into the agenda, I had a couple of questions on that first part you covered. Like,
Okay, please. Okay, I'm now opening the floor. If you have any question related to so far whatever I discussed, let's discuss this, and then probably I can jump to the agenda. Okay, please go ahead.
So couple of questions. One is like, typically in your opinion, I know it will vary very much from client to client, but in your opinion, like, when the customers do they do like material master, customer, vendor, finance separately, like one after the other, or they do big bang? And how much time would it normally take? Like a 3 or 4 month, do you finish the whole thing, or 3 month per domain? So that was my first question. Second question is like, in such a situation, typically how many technical consultants do you see? Like 1 or 2 will be enough, or is it a bigger group that manages that?
Okay, good question. Okay, so let me help you to understand this. The first question what you ask for, as I mentioned, it will always go phase wise. You cannot start both the things together. Like, okay, let's go material master and business partner together. No, you have to do phase wise. Now, how much time it is required? It is again depend on how many object you have. Okay, and what is the complexity behind it, and how many technical consultant, how many functional consultant, how many architect you are going to involve, because here also budget is a matter. Okay, so based on that, it depends the timeline, and then only you will complete the SOW and sign off. That let's say this is the amount of object we have, this is the criticality level object wise, this is, let's say, 12 critical object. means critical means it's you need a time, you need more people to work on, it's complicated design or something else, and then let's say another 50 are high, means high complexity but not critical complexity, then another 100 medium complexity, and some are easy. Okay, so this is how you have to analyze object wise how many things you need to develop and what is the items you have. So based on that the timeline differ. Again, the technical consultant, I cannot forecast now. It is, and automatically you will understand. Today probably it is difficult for you to imagine that how many figure I need as a technical consultant or functional consultant, but the moment you complete the function, the requirement gathering and functional specification complete, or let's say requirement gathering complete, and you can have already listed out the high, medium and easy items, then automatically you can do the calculation that how many technical consultant I really need, because by that time the timeline also will be in front of you. Okay, so timeline, criticality, the high, low, medium, whatever you have, and then finally the calculations will come up that how many people you need as a technical consultant or architect. Okay, so that is my answer to your questions.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, so anybody else, please go ahead.
Hey Aditya, this Yogesh, just building on that question, is it always we do the material master as the first domain, or it depends upon in the client's need?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it is purely depends upon clients. So there are many projects which I have worked. I can talk about myself, I cannot talk about the other people. I have seen the project which I have worked, that is first customer, then vendor, because customer vendor, they they have some interlinked detailing which we will see down the line, and then material master, then finance. Some of the project which I have worked, they started with material, then customer, then vendor. Some of the project I have seen, they started with finance. Okay, so it varies. It purely what customer demand is.
Got it. Got it. So my next question is HR data considered as one of the domain here, like employee, master, anything related to
HR,
like
employee detailing, and they are, if it has some financial records are related to, that can be fitted to finance master.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Please go ahead.
Yeah, it's George. Yeah? Forgive me because I'm a bit of a novice in terms of data, but would you please explain the difference between MDG and MDM?
Sure. I will talk about that when I will talk about the agenda. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other question? At least whatever we have discussed. Okay. So let me move on to the agenda. So the first chapter is related to the introduction, and it is purely fundamental chapter. Okay. Now what exactly we are talking about in this chapter, you can see first is purpose of MDG for business management and governance. In this particular topic, we will talk about from where MDG comes. Now, here, let me give you some little thought. MDG is not the first product from SAP in terms of data management and governance. The first product from SAP is SAP MDM, which is master data management. Now in MDM, what are those items we have? Now probably some people is thinking why we are talking about MDM, because however today I'm just talking in a brief, but when we will go to that chapter we will talk about in detail. Okay, because without understand the basic architecture, the basic functionality of MDM, you cannot directly go to MDG, because the MDG inherited from MDM. So MDG born from MDM. Uh, uh, so the architecture point of view, MDG and MDM both are same, but the process point of view, they both are different. So let me talk about. So MDM has, let's say, console. 4 different tool MDM has: console, data manager, import manager, and syndicator. Okay. Now what console does? In console, we create the table, create the structures, create the inbound and outbound channels, which we call port, create different type of images. Okay, so this is the place where we create all those things. What is data manager? Whatever the table we have created, we feed the data by using the data manager in that table. Not only that, we have the validation activity here, derivation activity here, workflow, data calculation, and many more other things. Import manager we use to load the data. Let's say I have some data in Excel or flat file. I want to load that data into SAP MDM table. That we can do through import manager. And syndicator we used for the data replication, to replicate the data from MDM to some other target system. So this is the 4 different tool we use to manage MDM. Okay, so by using MDM, we also do the data management and as well as the governance. By seeing the name, okay, it is only the data management. No, it's management and governance both. Okay, then SAP MDG came. Now why SAP? Suddenly SAP MDG didn't came. Why? There should be some reason. The reason is, over the period of time, there are, by the way, for your information, total 1,000 companies across the globe, they have subscribed MDM and they have implemented MDM. Okay, 1,000 customers they have, or over 1,000. I'm just giving one figure as I know. Now, they, over the time, they understand that MDM has some disadvantage, which is the incapability of managing the complexity of the data. The complex requirement MDM cannot do. Some of the MDM processes, which I will talk about, it is very tiring. It is very repetitive, not showing that maturity enough with the time. Then the idea came for SAP MDG. So we need more advanced product than MDM. If you really, leave the industry, because by that time, not only SAP MDM is not only the data management product. You have other product like IBM MDM, Oracle MDM, Informatica MDM, etc. And they were literally giving a challenge to SAP that their product is much better than SAP MDM. And then SAP had no other way to thought about some other product, some other module to uh, go for. Then the SAP MDG start. Now, so many people ask this question, what is the future of MDG? Now here is the answer. I will not simply say its future is great. I will give some data point. So let me share some data point. 2020 is the sunset point of SAP MDM. SAP is not going to support MDM officially after 2020. So these 1,000 customers, they who already implemented SAP MDM, they have no other choice to move their product from MDM to MDG. That is point number 1. Point number 2, MDG has many activities which we will see in our discussion further, which is much advanced than any other data management and governance product. That is the attracting point. Okay. Another thing, MDG, SAP MDG interacting with HANA and S4 HANA is another opportunity. So these are all points which makes MDG much choiceable for the industry. So the new customers who are coming into the data governance and management area, they want to go for SAP MDG rather than anything else. Okay, so SAP MDG, at least I can say another 5 years or 10 years, it will have a very good market. Now SAP MDG, as I said, MDM and MDG architectural point of view, they are same. No difference at all, same architecture. But process point of view, they are different. Like in MDG, we have data model, process model, then UI model, workflow, data validation and derivation, then search and duplicate check, then data replication and import. Now, what is data model? What we do in console, almost exactly the same activity we do in data model. We create the structure, we create the relationships, we gather all the required field which is required for the MDG implementation, etc. Process model, we define the processes for create, for change, for mark, for deletion, for block, unblock, for mask creations. These are all activities we define here. UI model, ultimately the end of the result which we see, that is on UI. So UI, how to build the UI, how to make the UI level data validations, data derivations, these are all things. Then building workflow, the entire business flow. Then data validations and derivations. We have different type of services like parallel workflow, like email notification, like dynamically picking the agents. So there are different type of services which we have. How to do that? How to do the data validation through this workflow and UI level? Then search and duplicate check. Then data replication and import. So these are all things which we have in MDG. So you can see the process point of view, they are completely different. Okay, so that is the difference between MDM and MDG in brief. We will talk about in detail when we will start the chapter wise discussion. Okay, now the second thing is, here we will talk about the architecture. How many different type of architectures are allowed in MDG? How many different type of deployment options we have? That we will talk about. Then business framework. How many different type of business frameworks we can have in MDG, and what is the best practice? That we will talk about. Then the prerequisite configuration, which we will talk about out of box configuration. We need to only for this prerequisite activity in this chapter, we will interact with system. We will see what are those transactions we have, what kind of activity we need to carry out. That we will see, but not a big kind of a demonstrations or anything. No, this chapter is merely a fundamental chapter, a basic understanding chapter. Okay, so once we will complete this chapter, the basic idea you will have, what is MDG, why I am doing MDG. Because many people, they start MDG when they don't know why they are doing, what is the objective they have. So first we need to understand what I am going to do, whether it is really required or not for the industry, because this is the questions you have to answer as an architect. Because first, when the customer will come, they will ask you the first question, why you want to sell MDG services to me? I can do this way, I can do that way. That also will they will do some cross questions, they will start some debating, and then your basic fundamental understanding will help you to address them, to challenge them, that why MDG is best than the other. Okay, next is the data model chapter. So from this chapter, the real implementation part starts. In this particular chapter, we will create 3 different demonstrations. One is custom data model, purely custom. Okay, we will not go for any kind of a standard items, all custom detailing. Then standard data model, and then enhancement of standard data model. Okay, these 3 things we will talk about with 3 different demonstration. Now from this chapter, we will, most of the items we will do over the system with demonstration, and while doing the demonstration, whatever the relative theoretical understanding we need, that we will cover up. But it is not like that we will spend separate time for theoretical and separate time for practical. No, we will start with practical directly, and then while doing the practical, what are those theoretical understanding needed, that I will time to time draw. Okay, so that is, here in this chapter we will develop the custom data model, as I said. Then we will talk about the standard along with the enhancement of data model. Like these are all standard data model which SAP provide. MM for material master, BP for business partner, and which is having customer and vendor included. And OG is the finance data model. Okay, and here what are those topic we will cover up with demonstration, like add custom field in the standard data model in terms of enhancement of the data model, add custom entity type in the standard data model. Then CVI is a specific item which is customer vendor integration, how to do this integration. Then Genil model, how to build the Genil model, and you can see all are hands-on. What are the hands-on we have? I just mentioned is hands-on. That means we will have separate demonstration, not single demonstration, by the way. Don't think that I will create one demo and I will talk about 4. No. Every single item will have different demonstration because the process is different. Okay. Now this is the data model chapter where we will see how to, store the detailing before we use those attributes, those entity types and their relationships. Then we will have process model. So as I said, in the process model, we define the processes. What kind of process? Create, change, create master data, change master data, mark for deletion of master data, block and unblock of master data. So these are all activity. So again, I will create 3 different demonstration. One is custom process model, standard process model, and enhancement of standard process model. Same way. So first we will develop the custom process model, then we will talk about the standard along with enhancement standard process model for the existing data model, and we will have some more other details like activity type linkage, what is change request, what is change request type, what is change request status, what is change request priority, where those detailings store, how those detailings are important in terms of MDG. So everything in detail we will talk about. So again, demonstration involved here. Then UI modeling. So UI modeling in MDG. So yes, one more thing which I forgot. How many versions we have? MDG 6.1, MDG 7.0, MDG 8.0, MDG 9.0, MDG 9.1, and last December 2018, MDG 9.2 came. So this is the versions. Now you can ask me, before 6.1 there was no MDG? Yes, there was 5 point something it was, but then why we are not counting them? Because the present architecture which MDG we follow, that time the architecture was different and it has been terminated for good. So the latest architecture which we follow, that start with 6.1. So for us this is the first version. Okay, then 7.0, then 8.0, then 9.0, then 9.1, then 9.2. These versions. So what in the first chapter only we will talk about that. What is the difference between 6.1, 7.0? What is the difference between 7 and 8? What is the difference between 8 and 9? So these are all things we will talk about in detail. Okay. So UI model. So the first version 6.1, since whatever the UI we use for the implement, we use floor plan manager, FPM. Before FPM, like when it was 5 point some version, Adobe Forms and SmartForm was using. But now we don't use Adobe Forms and SmartForms. We go to some advanced level, that is through FPM, floor plan manager. Now in this chapter, first we will talk about what is floor plan manager, how many different type of configurations we have in the floor plan manager, how to develop them, all those things. And then again, same story repeat. Custom UI model, standard UI model, enhancement of standard UI model. Okay, we will develop one custom UI. We will talk about standard UI, and also we'll go with enhancement of standard UI. And also we will talk about develop UI field properties. Like, I want to make one field to be mandatory, one field to be read only, one field to be grayed out, read only same, one field to be invisible, one field to be F4 values, one specific field is, let's say, derived field, like that field value depend on another field value. I want one field value the field behavior change. Let's say it will be editable. It will be editable once it will reach. Let's say I have a business flow: step 1, step 2, step 3. Requester, verifier, approver. When it will go to the verifier, this field will not allow to be editable, or it will allow to be editable. So the field characteristics change based on the different workflow steps we have. So these are all different requirements which almost every project use. So those things we will talk. And by the way, not one demonstration, several demonstration, whatever I just explained, several demonstration we will create to explain this, how we will develop the UI field properties on various business requirement with the implementation of the feeder class. Yes, this is little technical. Obviously, you need little understanding about ABAP and object-oriented ABAP. But the way I will explain, I hope you will understand. But again, I'm not here to teach ABAP. Okay, but I know I have a mixed audience. So I will talk about some basic stuff which is required to understand. Okay, so but still I would like to say that I'm not going to teach the ABAP, but I will talk about what are those syntaxes I'm using, why I'm using, what are the tables we have, what are the structures we have, how they are operating, what is the different type of signatures level. So these are all things I will talk about in detail, and I hope you will understand the way I will explain. Okay. But I'm not going to teach ABAP. So here the thing is, like, I want to clear it, okay, before. But yes, ABAP is required for the technical understanding. So at least the way I will talk about, you will understand how it needs to be developed. And at least the thing is, as I said, that being a functional and technical consultant, you need not to write that ABAP program. But if you know what kind of the impact it has, where exactly for this requirement, where to go, where to write the code, that understanding I'm giving you as architect and functional consultant. If anyone is looking for, you can quickly see the requirement and you can say, okay, go to this feeder class, go to this method and write the program. That kind of understanding I will build. Okay, you are not going to write ABAP program, but you are giving, that is called technical understanding of the functional area. Functionally you are working, but you are giving the technical side of it, where to go, where to write the program, where to check. So that will add up your flags, you know, as far as the importance of you in the project. So UI modeling. Then next is search and duplicate check, like basic understanding about different type of search activity. We have 4 to 5 different search activity: database search, enterprise search, remote key search, HANA based search. So every single search we will talk about. It's a set of configurations which we need to talk about. Then particularly 3 major search which is important, that is database search, enterprise search, and HANA based search. We will see that, develop them. Then develop the duplicate check, and then understand the communication, the integration between S4HANA and MDG, which is a purely new concept, okay, which built recently from 9.1, 9.2, 9.0, these versions. Okay, how S4HANA talk with MDG? What are the minimum configurations you need to maintain? Then workflow modeling. This is the most important chapter in this entire discussion, because the entire backbone of MDG stand with this workflow. Okay, now in this chapter I'm not going to repeat the same story, that is custom workflow, standard workflow, enhanced. No. Workflow is always unique. Even though you can see same industry, but different company, they have different structures. So business flow will be always unique. So in this chapter we will create end-to-end design of rule-based workflow, which is the advanced workflow. So we have two type of workflow: simple workflow, rule-based workflow. Simple workflow is which we access through the transaction, which we also call it as a SAP workflow. The transaction is SWDD. I will talk about that in detail. But this is the advanced one, rule-based workflow. It's a workflow in combination of business rules. Okay. So one demonstration will talk about end-to-end implementation of the workflow. And while doing this implementation, we will talk about change requests, step types, actions, different type of approval procedures, a lot of other things. And then talk about the different type of role concept which is associated with workflow. The next chapter is the continuation of this chapter, workflow chapter. So here in this chapter, we will try to understand what is data validation, what is data derivation, how we can achieve this, and then we will talk about the services. We have a different type of services like parallel processing, email notification, dynamic agent selection, rule context preparation. What is the use of them? How to implement them? Each and every services we will create the different demonstration, because they all are different. Their configurations are different. Their purposes are different. Similarly, rule body. Rule body, how many type of rule body we have? Single entity, cross entity. What is single entity? What is cross entity? Every demonstration we will create here. So this chapter is purely technical, but the way I will explain, even though you are not going to put your hands into the technical side, but you will have a clear understanding for this, what to do, for that, what to do, which will always give you additional support. Okay. Then the data replication and import. So we will talk about here how to replicate the data. Two type we have to replication. One is through ALE-IDOC change pointer, which is in normal ABAP we use. That process you can use it here. Another one is, which is a MDG specific one, that is DRF, data replication framework. So both of the demonstration we will create and execute. Then we will talk about DIF, data import framework, to load the data into MDG. Again another demonstration. Then file upload, file download procedures, another demonstration. And then finally mass create and mass change. How to do that? That is another set of process we have to follow. So that is another demonstration. So this is data replication and import chapter. And finally, when everything complete, we will have some enrichment topic. What are those enrichment topics? Some case study, which is specific. We will talk about those case study. And then we will talk about some generic issues. By the way, I will not wait to explain the generic issues till this chapter. No. Every chapter when we will pass through, we will talk about some generic issues. What kind of issues can occur and how to tackle them. So I will, however, I include this topic here, but it doesn't mean that I will wait till this chapter to come. Okay. Because we have different topic, different issues. Data model, you can get different issue. UI, you can get different issue. And these are all generic issues. These are all available when you Google it in a different threads. But when I will explain, and when everything complete, and when you will go for the implementation, this generic issues discussion will help you to, the moment you will see those things, immediately you will recall, okay, we discussed about it. It could be probably this way. Then you check in threads, get confirm, and do it in your way. So the thing is, the idea is, avoid you the obstacles, the generic obstacles, before you jump into the real battle. That is the idea here. Okay, but yes, there will be some issues which is new and that you need to fight with, and obviously you can log the ticket to SAP and can take a help from SAP. And then explain MDG consolidation concept, which is again a new topic, data consolidation, and explain data. This is a new data model, by the way, that is EAM, Enterprise Asset Management. So talk about this data model. What is the advantage of this data model? Basically, enterprise asset management is for, like, when one particular company acquiring another company. So most of the times we have seen, after acquisition, they realize there was a wrong calculation. Okay, so, and thereafter the company face a lot of problem. So to tackle that, MDG come up with this model, enterprise asset management. But the use of this model is very limited. It is not necessary that all the customers will have. Majority of the customers, I can say 95% or more than that, they deal with material master, customer, vendor, and finance. Okay, so, but as this model exists, I will talk about that. Okay, so this is the whole agenda, and the only way to verify whether it is enough or not, don't trust on me at all. Go to the different job site, go to the MDG job description and compare it. Whatever I'm saying, I may say wrong, but you have to verify it. How we will verify? These job descriptions will take you through whether this agenda is complete for you, or there is some missing, or it's not there. But this is our agenda, I can say. Okay, based off my capability, based off my understanding, I can deliver this. There might be something else which I may not ever, I may not work, because everything which I will talk about, I have little hands-on, which I don't have hands-on. How can I talk about that topic, right? Anyway, so this is all, and now I'm going to open the floor. Please let me know what are those questions you have, and then probably we can close the session for the day.
Hey Aditya, this is Nikesh.
Yeah,
this
please
is
go
not a question, more of a suggestion request. Like as you're going through some of these examples, for example, like a custom data model, or you're enhancing a standard data model, you said, right? So I think you'll probably go through one example, let's say. But if you can just spend like 2-3 minutes and everything to kind of bring out the real business case, like business reasons you would do it, from your experience. You don't have to disclose, any proprietary information, but in general, okay, so Material Master, these are the things that you would do to or why you would want to enhance or something like that. That will be really helpful for us to understand the context in which we are talking.
Okay, so the answer of your question, this is how we do. First, I will give you some real-time scenarios. Like, look, let's say custom data model. Custom data model, you might have this requirement, and based on this requirement, how you will implement it. So that is how we do. That is how we work. Not only data model, everything. UI. Look, probably you might have this field in the requirement. How we will fit it in UI. You might have this kind of a derivation concept, validation concept. How to deal with that? That is how we perform. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Any other question, please go ahead.
Hey Aditya, this is Yogesh. What version of MDG we'll be working on and Anson, like for this discussion?
We will be working on MDG 9.0 backend HANA.
Backend HANA. Okay.
Okay.
So another question though, I was trying to wrap around my mind here, right? So as a functional consultant, you do define your master data in ECC or in S4, creating all those, which fields are mandatory, which fields are optional and all those. And we do the same, kind of modeling what you're doing in the MDG here. How these both can be synced? Is it the role of functional consultant who sit down with the individual, module functional consultant to discuss that?
To answer this question, not only functional consultant, also here means what I follow in such cases, I love to include some technical consultant, and obviously someone who having the architect level understanding, the landscape level understanding. So it's a teamwork, I can say. And what you were saying, that is absolutely correct. We need to sit down and we need to map it field by field, all the details.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And my last question here, is there any documentation to augment to this discussion you guys are going to share, or?
Now, this is a good question. Every single class, whenever we will have discussion, every session, after the completion of every single session, I will provide some material, and that materials are some are standard material from SAP, some are I have created with some simple language, some detailing, screenshots, and all those things. So that will help to understand those topics very easy way rather than bit complicated way. So after every session, so let's say next session when we will complete this one, I will send the supportive document respect to this one only. I will not send any document related to the data model or process model. Whatever I spoke about, I will share those materials, the supporting materials.
Got it. Thank you.
So I have a question related to, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Oh, okay. So
Please
I have
go
a
ahead.
question with respect to a technical, more like a technical architect, right? Now, although I have some background in, Oracle database management and the rest of it, do you recommend that, you know, for a person like me, I'm talking about my case, I see that most participants in this class already have deep understanding of SAP. But in my case, for instance, would you recommend that, you know, I just have like, okay, a sweeping general SAP, go through this class experience, or would you recommend that after this class, for instance, it's good I still have some, let's say, ABAP programming experience to back up whatever architectural knowledge I'll get from this class?
Okay, this is a very fantastic question. Now, I want to say 2 points. One is, don't judge at this point. My thought process is, like, for an example, if I would be in your place, then how I will think. Let me talk about my thought process. You may agree, you may not agree. Okay. If I would be in your place, what I will do, I will not do anything. I will first complete this chapter, this, till this chapter. Validation and derivation. Forget about replication and import. Because by the time you complete this chapter, the whole picture will be very clear in front of you, that what needs to be done in MDG and what is required for MDG. Then you decide what exactly the role you want to play. Then you can decide, probably I can go with architect or functional consultant. First of all, nobody is going to take you architect directly until you show them some experience on MDG. Okay. Now, definitely you have to start as a functional consultant. Like functional consultant, when I call it, you can say I'm techno-functional. These are all different terms, nothing much. Techno-functional. I'm a techno-functional person in MDG. My job will be to support the team for end-to-end implementation, to deliver it, test it, understand the requirement, help for the implementation, etc. Okay, so then you can look for this one, or if you think, okay, I'm feeling very interesting on technical side, then you can, if this is the case, then my second point is, then by that time you complete this, don't wait for a data replication or import. You can start side by side to learn ABAP and object-oriented ABAP. Okay, so this is 2 points. One is, don't judge at this moment, and I cannot do the prescription for you. That prescription you need to write by yourself, because you know your capability better than anybody else. So if I to be in your place, I will wait till this chapter. By that time, I will get clear what I need to do, what should be my role. Then I can probably go with this role, or I can go with technical. If technical, then I need to go with ABAP and object-oriented ABAP. Otherwise, it's not required. The way we will explain, that's very, very sufficient. Okay. Only if you need a hardcore technical person, no, I want to write the ABAP code, I want to execute them, then side by side you have to do the ABAP and object-oriented ABAP. Okay, sir?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, okay. Any other question?
Hey, Aditya, one more question. So you said that we are going to do on 9.0 version and then on HANA.
9.0 backend HANA.
Right.
9.1, 9.2 recently came. I'm not really sure, because the server we are using, that is the IDS server. So there is a limitation in the IDS server regarding the versions. Okay. So it is not like a licensed version. It's a training server. IDS servers are.
Yes. So given that like the ERP system like is ECC versus S4, because we will be dealing with like tables and specific tables and columns and all that, there is I'm assuming that there is a big difference in the structure of how S4 has been simplified, right? Like one table, one main table for a lot of different aggregation tables have all been combined, right? So that will also have a big effect on how MDG is designed, I'm assuming, right? So how will we handle that if we are going with ECC versus if you're in a project with S4, or is there any difference, or how, can you please explain a little bit on that?
Yeah, that is what we are going to explain in this chapter. Where is that? Yeah, understand that the total integration part in between S4 HANA and MDG.
Okay.
That is the topic which we have. Okay, so what exactly you are looking for? Yeah.
No, I was thinking that if we are connecting to ECC, it will be like one way of doing things, and it will be connecting to S4, it will be another way of doing things. Or how is it completely different? Is it not different? Does it matter? Not matter? That's what.
No. MDG on S4 will not make any difference. Okay, so MDG remains same. MDG will remain same. Only the S4 part will be the separate integrated part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Hi, Aditya. So in little more detail to the this question itself, S4 HANA and ECC. So I saw some videos in there. There are like two options for deployment. Like you can implement as MDG as hub, or you can implement on top of the S4 HANA. So will you be talking something about that, or like?
Yes, madam. This is the point which we have, that is MDG architecture with various deployment options. Okay, there are two type of options we have. One is MDG hub, another one is MDG co-deployment. Okay, so there are two different things. So with architecture we will talk about what are those things, where MDG fit, where Oracle fit, where HANA fit, where the ECC fit. Everything we will talk about in this particular discussion.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
Yeah,
which is
the
second topic of this first chapter.
All right, I'm sorry if I'm.
Yeah, no problem. No. The thing is, you don't know this. That's what you are asking.
Yeah. That was some discussion going on at work, so I just thought to clarify. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Any other question?
So Aditya, this is Yogesh. On logistics wise, like, so are we going to have the class like at the same time every week, like Saturday and Sunday?
That is difficult for me to answer, because this is something which coordinator needs to set down, because the thing is, here the audiences are from the different location. I'm from different location, you are from different location. Okay, so different countries are here. So we need to segregate which is the common time. Okay, what is the common time, and obviously my availability, that is one part. Okay, and one more information, my availability and like my engagement is also important. So a lot of factors are there. Okay, so that is something which coordinator will do, the time fix and all those things, which day, which time we have to do. So this is something which coordinator will take care. You can discuss separately with coordinator. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other question?
Hey, hi Aditya. This is Sanket this side. So as you said that in IDES we have backend as S4 HANA, and on top of that we have MDG, right? Hello.
Yeah. Like What is your specific question? I just want to understand
Yeah,
your specific.
yeah. My question was that since you are covering, you'll be showing the hands-on sessions on the on with the example of S4 HANA as a backend, and on top of that you have MDG. My question was that are you going to take the other deployment option as well? Do we have that? Because I would like to understand how are we going to integrate if MDG is a standalone option, and we have to integrate with some other ECC system.
To answer of your question, we will show both of the deployment options.
Okay,
Both of the deployment options which we have.
but in depth, I mean, from integration point of view.
Yeah. In depth
Okay.
only. We will talk
Okay.
not only architecture point of view. In depth, we will talk about what is the kind of integrations they have.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other question? Okay, so I'm going to close here, and next something which coordinator will communicate that when we will have the next session or what time, etc., etc. Okay, so thank you. Thanks for attending this discussion. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Bye,
Thank
Aditya.
Thank
Thank
you.
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 Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.